in San Francisco. Well, they're there. The Warriors are having their fourth parade in the last 8 seasons, but this is the first time since moving into their new home in San Francisco, moved across the bay. And could we see the exact same thing happen after next season? Here is Draymond Green at the parade.
I don't know. What y'all want me to tell you? That we better than everybody? You want from me? No, this has been an amazing year. I told y'all don't let us win a championship, and clearly nobody could stop it. I warned y'all, so I'm just going to continue to destroy people on Twitter, as I have been.
I think everything that's been said on the stage, whether you say it out loud or whether you internalize it, like you carry all of the journey with you every single day. And so to know what we've all been through, what my brother went through for over almost 3 years, what we went through as a team to try to retool, regroup, rejuvenate what we had, and just like taking snapshots of the last 3 years, all that came out when the final horn sounded, just because it wasn't just the work we put in last week, it wasn't the work we put in a month ago, it was the work that we started, once we changed buildings and trying to carry that championship DNA with us. But that emotion was everything, just letting it out, letting us know that we back. And then I got to the real question, is what they gonna say now?
According to Caesars, the Warriors had the best odds to win the 2023 title and repeat as NBA champs for the second time during this current run. They're followed by the Nets and Celtics, who are both currently at 6-1 to win it all next year. Back with, there's Tim Legler and CJ McCollum. Legs, you see this Warriors squad running it back next season?
I absolutely do. I think they should be the favorite. And I think, look, they got a great shot to win not just one more additional championship going forward. They could win multiple. I really believe it. When I look at what they just accomplished, the way Steph Curry looked physically, maybe the best basketball of his career he played in his most significant moments of his career. Klay Thompson, I think, gets a full year under his belt, another offseason, continue to get stronger, find his rhythm and timing. There's no doubt that he showed you spurts of what he's capable of and still being that elite level scoring machine. And then Draymond Green is going to continue to do what he does to affect winning on both ends. But now the big key here is, Max, the infusion of youth. Andrew Wiggins into the mix, Jordan Poole emerging as a guy that's an elite level scorer now, and then these young fellas, Kuminga and Wiseman and Moody, they're just getting younger, more talented, and I think these guys now have to be incorporated going into the season as guys that you can see being in your rotation all the way through the postseason, because they need the young legs, they need the talent, and I think Golden State should be favorites. And I think anybody that doesn't make them a favorite, honestly, right now, is just because they're sick of the Warriors winning. There's not a factual basis why you wouldn't think they are capable of winning it again next year. I think to do that, you've got to give the benefit of the doubt to an awful lot of people that might not deserve it. The Golden State Warriors absolutely have earned that right to be listed as favorites going into the season.
Yeah, listen, Magic had Jerry West as the GM. Larry Bird had Red Auerbach, right? I mean, like, you have these. And I was mentioning earlier how LeBron and KD kind of have to be their own GMs throughout their careers to win. But Bob Myers in Golden State, I mean, Steph got Bob Myers. That's a credit to Steph, first of all, right? He's the foundational piece. Right. Also, he's got a hell of a GM. They could have missed on Wiseman. We don't even know yet if that's a hit or a miss. And their future still looks bright because of guys like Kuminga and Poole. It's a whole lot of. What do you think about what Dre had to say, CJ?
I read his quote, and I think the interesting part about what he said was in regards to, first of all, he said, debate with your mama in regards to the Warriors' greatness, which is funny. I think a lot of people have winners fatigue, but in terms of the KD situation, them being able to win and him leaving as a slap in the face, I think he was more so speaking to the fact that he wanted them to stay for the long haul. He wanted KD to finish his career in the Bay, and KD ended up deciding to leave, and obviously he talked about how Steph had to sign off on it. And I think that goes to show you how selfless Steph is. To allow a player like KD to come to your team. We've been talking about bus drivers and all that stuff. KD K came and began, he took over as the bus driver, but it was Steph's bus. Steph allowed him to come in and take big shots, make big shots. He shared the spotlight with arguably one of the greatest players of all time, and at times had to take a lesser role. You talked about you wanting to see Steph perform on the biggest stage, which is the finals, and perform in the fourth quarter and close out games. He didn't have to do that because K did it. When K left, he had to show the best version of himself, and he carried this team to the finals and showed why he is arguably the best player in the world.
I agree with
right
that.
now.
But that's because in 2015 he had a shot to do it. LeBron was way better than him in that series. They were lucky Kyrie and Kevin Love got hurt, or else they don't win. In 2016 they lost. So he hadn't done it really without KD. And KD, now he's proven that. Done. Shut people like me up. We need to see it, right? KD couldn't get it done in Oklahoma City on a really, really good team. They were as good as the Cavs or the Warriors that year. I mean, they looked at least as good as those teams. Couldn't get it done. Then the Cavs got it done at Golden State that same year, same Game 7 at Oracle. Then since he's left, hasn't been able to get there, right? So now, Legs, is it KD's turn to show what he can do without those guys, the way those guys showed what they could do without KD?
Well, yeah, and looks like he's going to get that opportunity, and I think that's a challenge he wanted when he left Golden State. The irony to me in what Draymond Green is saying, and I hear what he's saying, and CJ is 100% right. They thought, hey, this is going to be a long-term thing when KD went out there. The irony in that is the best thing that could have happened to the Golden State Warriors, this group, this core group, is that KD left, because now they get another championship after him. And for me, historically, now they're going to be viewed on an even higher level than they would have been if Kevin Durant had stayed and they continued to win. So they got another opportunity, and I think that's why you saw so much emotion out of Steph Curry. He didn't know that over the last 2 years would they ever get that chance to sit on top of the mountain again after everything they had been through with KD leaving and all those injuries and a completely revamped supporting cast, and they did. And so for me now, historically, the context behind these guys is even greater with that Kevin Durant left, and now he's the guy that has to answer the bell. Can he do it starting from scratch somewhere else? That's what's going to be interesting to see going forward.
It's an interesting point. Keyshawn Johnson actually made, football players talking basketball, basketball players talking football. I mean, I didn't do either. I talked both. But Key made an interesting point about that. Harrison Barnes doing that job, they were really good. They managed to kind of sneak in 2015, win a title. When KD did the job, no one had a shot. Now they have Wiggins doing that job, right? They just won the chip, straight up, fair and square. That is a credit to Steph and Steve Kerr and Clay and Dre and Bob Myers.
This is Del Curry. No more questions. This offseason is a big one for the Dubs dynasty. They're expected to be nearly $50 million over the cap next season. They have major decisions to make on both Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins. Other available assets include youth on the roster in James Wiseman, Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, and the 28th pick in this year's draft. Ryan?
All right, Tim Legler, he's back with us. Okay, Legs, let's talk about the defending champions. What do you think should be the Warriors' biggest offseason priority?
Well, listen, they have everything they need in-house, I think, to repeat and maybe even win more than one additional championship. I think the priority for them, though, has to be the development and the inclusion of the youth that you just mentioned. I think when you look at a guy like Jonathan Kuminga, I saw enough of him in the regular season to give me the belief he is going to be an all-star in this league at minimum. I didn't see enough of James Wiseman, obviously, didn't play this year. Moses Moody as well, but both of those guys, but that infusion of youth into this already established veteran rotation, I think is exactly what the Warriors need. But here's the thing. It can't just be in the regular season. I think these are guys that have to be now incorporated into their rotation on a level that you can now trust them through an additional playoff run, because I think they need the fresh legs. They need the additional talent. You saw some of the decisions they've got to make on Wiggins and Poole. I can't see Wiggins going anywhere. He is too valuable to this team. Second best player in the NBA Finals for that team, both ends of the floor. And then Jordan Poole emerged this year as a big-time scorer. Those guys are hard to find. So I know it's not my check to write, but but they got to figure out a way to keep those guys and then develop this young talent you have, and now you're going to have a great mixture of a veteran core of champions in addition to the young legs and enthusiasm and energy that some of these young guys can give you.
Yeah, it's a really good point. You know, earlier in the show, you said Memphis and Phoenix need to be active this offseason. You also talked about how Dallas went and got Christian Wood. So based out of all of that, which team, in your estimation, poses the biggest threat to the Warriors next season?
I'm going to say the Milwaukee Bucks, and I know the West is going to be a juggernaut. We didn't even mention Denver and the Clippers getting their guys back. So the West is going to be no joke next year for sure. But I look at the Bucks, and I say, hey, listen, if Chris Middleton doesn't go down this year, very good chance the Milwaukee Bucks are playing in the NBA Finals and not the Boston Celtics. So when you look at the drive of a Giannis Antetokounmpo, this is a guy that's obsessed with not just being a great player or an MVP or a champion. He wants to be one of the greatest to ever do it. He knows he needs to continue to add some jewelry to his resume. So I think he is going to be in the gym even harder than he's been in the past, continue to develop his game. And now you get a guy like Chris Middleton back into the fold, healthy for an additional year. I think they do need some tweaks to the rest of the rotation and their depth, but just Giannis alone and his obsessive drive and getting a healthy Chris Middleton, I think the Bucks are the team you would look at and say is the biggest challenge.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Tim. By the way, you know, during this Steph Curry tenure, the Warriors, when they've made the finals, they've returned the following season. So it's like the rich just keep getting rich there